right, so here's how the last 24 hours have gone. I did not anticipate there being a hike down to the Cape Flattery, the edge of the world. It wasn't long. It was only a half mile. It wasn't super steep, but it was a hill, as you may have been able to tell from previous postings. But since it wasn't a pull-off vista, kind of like the Hoover Dam or a lot of the other sites I've seen, I lost an hour from what I was planning. I knew it was going to be a long day. So my hope was to do the border crossing into Canada late at night, because I was hoping the traffic would be low, and then I'd be able to get a place in Vancouver, and get into Vancouver like just before midnight. Because I lost the hour, everything else was running on schedule, kinda, more or less. But I wasn't going to get into Vancouver until 1 o'clock in the morning. And I was feeling pretty tired, because it was a long day of lots of stuff. And so I holed up in a hotel in Bellingham, which happened to be the best room I've stayed in since hitting the road. So that was pretty cool. Since I'm on the Hotels.com's rewards program, it was also one of the cheapest, least expensive. I only paid like $25 for the room. So I was real happy about that. Took a slow morning this morning, checked out of the hotel just before 11 o'clock, and headed for the Canadian border. That made the Canadian border a lot more trafficked. And so the lines were real long. I took the Google Maps took me to the one that's open to all vehicles, but is chiefly designed for trucks. There were a lot of other cars doing the same thing, and it said the main route into Canada was like 20 minutes slower, including a slowdown. So I tried to do that, but that line was, I don't do well in lines. So I detoured back to the main line, which was worse. And I didn't have anything specifically that I was pursuing in Vancouver. I was going to stay the night. There's a Pokemon that's unique to northern Canada. It's called the Pachirisu or Pachirisu. But I looked it up last night, and you have to reach the 52nd parallel to get it. And that's a couple hours north of Vancouver, as far as I could tell. So I went with nothing specific to see in Vancouver, not planning on spending the night, because I need to be in Boise next weekend, and not being able to catch the Pokemon that I was looking at. I opted to turn back. Except, I haven't been to the Canadian border since I was a child, and so I had no idea how it should have worked. And so I saw these lanes that said Nexus only, and in my head, I'm looking for a way to turn back. I thought Nexus was the name of the town I was in, and that it was like a escape hatch, get out, go back to the town. But Nexus is a fast pass. So marketing worked against me. I took the Nexus lane, got to the agent, told them I was trying to turn around and go back to the United States, and so I got detained by the Canadian Border Patrol. I had to pull off, sat and wait while they went through the car, explained what I was doing, because I know it sounds fishy. And they're like, because you came through the Nexus lane, we have to process you like a normal car. So they did. There was no problem there. And I was allowed to turn back. Except I had to wait through the American Border Patrol lane. So I waited in both lanes, essentially, and didn't go to Canada. That's the kind of dumbass I am. The American Border Patrol guy asked me a ton of questions. I mean, the Canadian guy asked a couple. It was like standard stuff. You got any firearms in the car, any weapons, any cannabis products, etc., etc. And then they searched it. But the American guy was like, how long did you go to Canada for? And I went, was I in Canada? And I tried to give good, easy, simple, true answers, but the simple, true answers are tough to understand. I'm like, I'm a teacher. He's like, school year's not over yet. I'm like, yeah, okay. He goes, so you don't have a job? I'm like, no, I have a job. I draw a paycheck every month. And you're homeless. Yeah, technically. I mean, the first question he asked me was the bat. He's like, you got a bat in the car. What's that for? I'm like, personal protection. I'm driving around the country by myself. Well, you're a big guy. Nobody's going to mess with you. Yeah, but you never know. I mean, I haven't needed it. I'm not going to need it, but it's there in case to make me feel better. So eventually he waves me through and I head back south. So right now, I am headed, I've got the route kind of laid out. I'm going to go to Yakima for dinner, because Jared said I needed to have a burger at Miners. Then I'm going to continue east across Washington, and I think all of that just kind of, this is the subject of another video, a private one, all it just kind of conspired to tell me that Washington is not for me. And so there's a reflection video coming. It was just kind of, get out of the Pacific Northwest, you're done here. So I'm at least temporarily done. And I don't want to go further into it than that. So I am headed south, about to cut east. I feel it's kind of like when you're in gym and you have to do what they call suicides, when you run and you touch the baseline and then you keep running. I feel like the Canadian border was the base of my suicide. That doesn't sound right. That sounds wrong. That's not what I meant. My wind sprints, let's call it that. So I've been almost to the southern border. Tombstone was almost to the southern border. And now I've been to the northern border and the most northwestern point in the contiguous United States. And I am now planning a trip for the future that will take me to Alaska and Canada. But I think those are going to be airplanes rather than cars, because I would rather cross the border that way. So that's been the last 24 hours. I really love the hotel in Bellingham. That was great. And the experience at the Canadian border was exactly what it was meant to be. Yeah. So I feel good. I feel good. Before I say peace out, I know where I'm going to be roughly up to the middle of June. And so the timeline is starting to compress a little bit, because I have a ton of stuff I want to do on the east side of the country and people I want to visit. So mid-June, I'm going to make a sharp cut towards Texas and start doing the east side of the country stuff. Because I know I've got stops in San Antonio, Houston, New Orleans, Dallas, probably Austin. Austin's now maybe. Oxford and Jackson, Mississippi. Little Rock, Arkansas. A couple places in Tennessee. North Carolina. Still want to do the bungee jumping in West Virginia. New York, Boston, Bangor, Maine, Detroit, several places in Wisconsin, Milwaukee, Green Bay, Chicago, definitely Chicago. So I may have to plan the timeline a little bit better than I have in the past. So, feel good about where I am. Looking forward to cutting east and south, which I am doing today and this week. So, Canada border, Pachirisu. I will see you another time. Peace.